So my name is Lisa Schirch, and I introduced myself downstairs as Counsel on Tech and Social Cohesion, but I'm also at the University of Notre Dame, where I'm a professor and I teach courses on pro-social design of technology. And I work also with the Plurality Institute, not just occasionally with events, but as sitting on their board with Audrey Tang and Glenn Weil, and lots of other people. So I want to talk today just an overview of what is pro-social design, because we have different definitions of what this means. And it's fine that we disagree and we have different definitions, but we also kind of just need a map to be able to talk with each other. So I have handouts which are downstairs where I've been trying to map all the different ways people are using the term pro-social design and the different categories. I'm just going to give you a brief overview here. A few weeks ago, we met in New York City at Jigsaw. Emily's here with us, and they had an event focused on AI in the public square, really thinking about how do we design technology as a public square, and really I think today's conversation is a piece of that. So looking at comment sections as part of a digital public square, a public sphere where people meet and they do lots of different things. Some of it's entertainment, some of it is talking about politics, but the comment section conversation happens within this broader map of a larger conversation. How does tech design impact human behavior? Partly I just want to briefly say, you know, when I did research with tech staff who were product designers 2-3 years ago, there was very little recognition that there was very much design tailored to alter human behavior. So most of the conversation about harmful content online was blamed on users as generating that harmful content, rather than thinking about the role of design in shaping human behavior. So what the design allows you to do, what it prevents you from doing, and what the design persuades you to do. So I think over the last couple years, we have become more articulate in really understanding that design is impacting human behavior. No technology is neutral, and so we need to make these design choices in an informed way. And today's conversation is trying to base what's the research, what's research is missing on that. My colleague Ravi Iyer is here. Ravi and I often have this conversation of, is civic tech and his Neely Index, are they related? Are they both under the umbrella of pro-social tech? My answer to the question is yes. The tent for pro-social design, in my view, is wide, and it includes minimum standards to reduce individual harm that's happening on platform. It also includes low barrier designs. That means that don't cost very much to tech companies, don't really affect their profit margins, maybe improve quality on behalf of the users, still mostly focused on individual well-being. And then there's this whole category of civic tech, which Rose started talking to you about, people deliberately designing spaces online for public conversations about politics in a ways that highlight where we agree and make our disagreements more productive. So that class of tech is also, I think, on the map. So there are many of us in the room who are working on all the different ways of fleshing out what are these pro-social designs. Some in the room are principals with the ethics. So New Public has done fantastic work. Thank you, Talia, for being here, on the civic signals. And really, civic signals gives us the big ethical principles of designing the public square. There's also design libraries, which Julia at the Pro-Social Design Network, they are looking at the level of research behind different design patterns. And then Ravi Iyer at Neely Center at University of Southern California, and the design codes, which are like groups of principles and design patterns put together And that one, the Neely index is really a minimum standard. So sometimes code and minimum standard are being used together. I have put these into sort of 3 tiers. This is kind of, I'm always trying to figure out how to explain this more clearly, so I welcome your feedback. Tier 1, I would say, are those minimum standards. Tier 2 are low barrier designs, and Tier 3 are the advanced designs for democracy and social cohesion. A difference there is the top 2 can be optimized for profit or individual perceived quality, so the commercial applications in the room. Those are amenable to that, whereas Tier 3 is really optimized for public goods. Most of them are open source, not for profit. But I would also say we can learn from the climate adaptation and mitigation, and so thinking about minimum standards as minimum building codes for buildings, whereas the Tier 3 would be like the lead standard. So like you're pushing out the vision of society of, if you really want to be good to each other, you're going to need to design more along those lines. What are the economic impacts? Just briefly, sort of there's all kinds of incentives that we won't be really focused on today, but are impacting us. So improving user experiences, reducing company risk, promoting company reputation. These are like things that are always in the room when we start talking about design. I think these are other factors that impact how we design comment sections. The level of research, the acceptability for the public. Is it acceptable across political divides? And will it disrupt profit? And really the point of our symposium today is to look at what we know about comment section design and what we need to know, and partly really to be very clear, how do we map this gap? And my personal goal out of this event today is that we have a very clear sense of a map of what we need to know about designing comment sections so that we can really distribute this and have a university consortium or some kind of vision where we're trying to incentivize research on the questions that might actually make a difference to the design of technology. And with that, thank you, and I will pass it back to you, Rose.